Our whole universe was in a hot, dense state that nearly 14 billion years ago expansion started. Wait.
Recently, a new fighting game called MultiVersus has been announced, featuring several characters from Warner Brothers as playable characters. I'm very excited for it, and there are a lot of characters I'd like to see join the fray. But, out of all the characters I want in the game, the strangest request I have is for Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory. This started off as a joke, but as I kept thinking about it, I realized how much I actually want this goddamn nerd in the game. Not only does he actually have good potential for a moveset, but I'd just love to see everyone's reactions to him being a part of this. So let's start the Great MultiVersus Hypothesis. That's basically how they title their episodes on The Big Bang Theory. Alright, let's begin! That's a question I'm sure many of you are asking. Why Sheldon Cooper? Why? Well, whether you'd like to admit it or not, The Big Bang Theory is one of the most well-known sitcoms to ever be created. It's infamous at this point, and while a lot of people make fun of it, there's a pretty decently sized audience for this show. I mean, 12 seasons don't lie. The show was kept on the air for a long-ass time, and people kept tuning in to watch. And sadly, yes, I was one of them. I can't really defend the show as high art or anything, but I do find myself enjoying the show. It's cozy, I don't know, it's kind of like a guilty pleasure. Anyways, our boy Sheldon is the breakout star of the show. Everyone is familiar with his nerdy and oftentimes obnoxious personality, and we're all well too familiar with his little quirks. Whether it be him knocking on Penny's door 3 times and saying her name, or just doing his wheezy little chuckle to himself. The character is so well known that adding him to MultiVersus would come as a hilarious shock to most. I don't think very many people will be confused as to who he is. Also, maybe putting him in this game will be therapeutic to others. Sheldon isn't exactly the most well-liked sitcom character out there, and I'm sure a lot of people would like to get their hands on him. He'd make a good training dummy for some people, I bet. See, this works out for both the fans and the detractors of The Big Bang Theory. Fans can play as Sheldon and have fun, and haters can beat the hell out of Moon Pie. It's perfect. Alright, it's no secret that Sheldon isn't a fighter on the show. In fact, he stated before that he'd be less than useless in a fight. But if Sheldon's life were on the line, I think he'd go into a feral, almost beast-like state. We know how he can throw temper tantrums if things aren't going right for him, and he actually has gotten angry enough to get into a scuffle with Leonard before. For basic punches, I think it's fitting if Sheldon starts swatting at his opponent instead of actually punching them. Sheldon usually acts like that when he's in a fight. But for his strong attack, maybe let him don his Hulk hands in order to deliver a heavy blow. Sheldon couldn't quote the Hulk when he does this, sure. Also, make Sheldon a quick character who's hard to hit. That fits with him being a coward who'd rather run from a fight, and it makes him a more annoying person to fight against. His standard special could be him whipping out a paintball gun and firing it at his opponent. Oh, I know what his down special can be! Sheldon will stand there, with one hand behind his back and the other extended for a handshake. If you attack Sheldon during this brief window, he'll counter by grabbing the opponent and giving them an electric shock with his electric arm prank! Oh, bazinga! You've fallen for another one of Sheldon's classic pranks! Give him a big smug grin whenever he's doing this. That'll piss everyone off. I'm thinking his side special can be him sending out Monty, which will raise its buzzsaw up and down, doing heavy damage to opponents caught in its wake. Thinking for an up special for Sheldon is a little harder, but maybe you can have him teleport in a Star Trek-like beam, with him giving the Vulcan signal with his hands. That isn't from the show, but it does reference one of his favorite shows. It works, I guess. Now, Sheldon does have to be a team player in all of this, given that MultiVersus is putting heavy emphasis on teamwork, so he'll have to work with some poor unfortunate character that's bound to become very annoyed very quickly. Maybe make it to where every time Sheldon taunts, his teammate gets more frustrated with him and that makes them a little stronger for a short period of time. That seems like a fitting way to go about it. His taunt can just be him pulling off this pose while he says his classic line.
Bazinga!
Lastly, I'll add one more quirk to Sheldon, just to really put the cherry on top with this moveset. On occasion, whenever Sheldon hits someone, or gets hit himself, a huge laugh track will play.
Infinite Sheldon.
Infinite Sheldon?
Yes, Infinite Sheldon.
The Big Bang Theory loves their laugh tracks, and will play them whenever a single dialogue exchange is given. It'd be criminal not to include it here. I can't believe I've been able to come up with an entire moveset for Sheldon. Well, we're not done. I want to talk about Sheldon's smooth, buttery voice. Obviously, there is nobody other than Jim Parsons who can portray this nerd. I've seen him do voice work before as O from Home, so I'm sure he's willing to get into a recording booth for this. Even if Sheldon's addition to this game is treated as a joke, Jim has voiced Sheldon for Family Guy before, so he's clearly fine being Sheldon in the context of it all being a dig at the Big Bang Theory. So what's Sheldon going to be saying? I figure it'll mostly be a variety of pop culture references, depending on who he's fighting. Sheldon is a big fan of comics, so I'm sure he'll have some cheeky, laugh-track-worthy lines to dish out against Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. If Batman and Superman are in a match with Sheldon, maybe that can trigger him to say, "No, Superman, don't hit me! Hit Batman! Remember Batman v Superman?" Or something like that, I don't know. Of course, he'll say Bazinga, and he'll probably quote Spock as well. If things are going poorly, Sheldon could have a variety of quotes where he's criticizing the player for doing poorly, or criticizing his teammate for not helping him. I'm really trying to make Sheldon authentic to how he is in the show. Only a true fan like me can appreciate this. As for alternate skins, I'm suggesting letting Sheldon don his Flash costume. Now he can say, just whatever. It'd be funny if the Flash doesn't get in, and so Sheldon becomes his rep for this game. Another costume could be the Troll Sheldon from the end of The Precious Fragmentation. Could you imagine that horrible monster coming at you? I can't suggest he become young Sheldon as a costume because, well, he'd have to become small and that would change Sheldon up a bit too much. As for Sheldon's stage, let's just bring them to the iconic apartment room. Maybe have Leonard, Howard, Raj, and Penny in the background trying to watch TV despite the fight going on in the room. If nobody is playing Sheldon, he'll be sitting in his spot. And if not, Penny will be sitting in his spot to spite him. Well, those are my ideas for Sheldon Lee Cooper from the Big Bang Theory. I don't think anyone is expecting him to actually get in, but I think the moves that I've come up with proves that it could work. And he's certainly popular enough for it, so let's get this ball rolling! Support Sheldon! Getting into MultiVersus, everyone!